Good morning, my students. The last day we discussed about how the two blind people behaved. They tried almost to deceive the reality of their blindness. The narrator tried to behave like ourselves, those who have got the clear vision, the eyesight, gifted by the Almighty God. They did not have their eyesight. Still, they tried to behave in a way we behave. But the irony is that we will find in the conclusion. I will not disclose it right now. I am going to give you the short synopsis of the last discussion. The narrator travelled to Missouri, and at Rohana he had a passenger with him all the way, and they started a short conversation, behaving in a way that they had a good eyesight. The last day we discussed up to this. Now, today, I am going to read the text line by line. I turned from the window and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. The narrator sat in his own seat facing the girl in order to deceive, so that the girl may not discover his blindness. You have an interesting face. So after the short silence, the narrator remarked that the girl had an interesting face. I was becoming quite daring, but it was a safe remark. The narrator was becoming very much desperate, but it was a safe remark. What was the remark? That the girl had an interesting face. Try to notice the word interesting face. And the narrator thought that the remark was very much safe. Few girls can resist flattery. It's a common statement. It's a comment upon the nature of the common girl, that girls can't resist flattery. Flattery means a firm excessive and firm praise. Excessive and firm praise, though it is insincere. So few girls can resist flattery. She laughed pleasantly, and a clear ringing laugh. At this comment, the girl laughed pleasantly. And how the laugh was? The laughter was a clear one, and a ringing laugh. Ringing means resounding, sounding much, or that means he was laughing loudly. That's why the adjective is here ringing laugh. The girl was laughing loudly. It's nice to be told I have an interesting face. The girl acknowledged that it is very much interesting to hear such comment, to listen such comment from others, that the girl had an interesting face. I am tired of people telling me I have a pretty face. The girl then commented that he was very much tired of people telling her that she had an pretty face, not an interesting face. So these two words resulted in other comments. Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I, and aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. Here interesting means attractive and pretty means lovely or beautiful. So interesting face may be at the same time be pretty or lovely. So the narrator tried to confirm his argument, stand his argument on these two words, that interesting face can be lovely or beautiful or pretty. You are very gallant, young man, she said. Here gallant means brave. And the other word is, this is my word, is heroic. You are very heroic young man, she said. But why are you so serious? Why are you so serious? The girl asked him not to be so serious in describing her face. Whether it is pretty or interesting, it is all the same to her. So, but the narrator was very much serious in order to put these two words alike. I thought then I would try to laugh for her, but the thought of laughter only made me feel troubled and lonely. The narrator then became very much serious, whether to laugh or be silent. Unnaturally, it would be so unnatural if he would then laugh at such comment of the girl that he was very much serious. Then not try to, whether the narrator was not sure whether to laugh or not to laugh. At this time, a sort of laughing, a sort of laugh would make him troubled, make her unnatural. It would appear unnatural. So he did not laugh. Well, we will soon be at your station, I said. Thank goodness it is a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 or 3 hours. The narrator commented that the journey was very much short, and it was by luck that it was a short journey for him, as he could not sit for a long time in a train. He could sit not more than 2 or 3 hours. But in the next line, the narrator said, yet I was prepared to sit there for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. So it was a camouflage, a hide, a concealment of the original one, that he loved to sit there almost at any length of time with that of girl, because he was in love. He was in love with her voice, with the sound, even with the sound of her slipper. So it was a camouflage, but in front of the girl, he told aloud that he could not sit there for not more than 2 or 3 hours. But it was not so. Naturally, the truth was that the narrator was so much in love that he was prepared to sit there for almost at any length of time. as he was in love with her voice, even with the voice sound of her sleeper. Her voice had a sparkle of a mountain stream. So, how was the voice of the girl? The voice was compared with the sparkle, the glittering sound of a mountain stream, the glittering sound, the flowing sound of a river, that is referred with the word glittering or sparkle. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter. So it was a little apprehension on the part of the narrator that the girl would rather forget the brief encounter, the brief conversation, but it would stay with me for the rest of the journey. The narrator was very much involved in the short journey, that it was a rememberful journey, that he would never forget the short journey, the voice of the girl. Sorry. For some time after, the engine whistled shrieked. A shriek means the high pitchful sound. The high pitchful sound, the engine's sound, high pitch of sound. The carriage wheels changed. So the sound of the engine and the carriage changed their sound and rhythm, and also the rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. The station came and the girl got up and began to collect her belongings. I wondered, the narrator was surprised, if she wore her hair in bun. Bun is a knot. Knot, you mean khopa, khopa, khopa অথবা ঝুটি যেটাই বলো তোমরা, or if it was plaited, that means straight. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders, or was it cut very short? The narrator was trying to gaze that how her hair was, if it was in bun, or it was plaited, or it was hanging loose on her shoulders. The train drew slowly into the station. Outside there was shouting of porters and vendors, kuli ebong dokani, porters and vendors, and high-pitched female voice near the carriage door. That voice must have belonged to the girl's aunt. So the train reached the station and there was a confusing sound outside the carriage. Probably it was the sound of her aunt, the narrator guessed. Goodbye, the girl said. The girl bade him goodbye. She was standing very close to me. While getting off, or while the girl stood up, he was standing close to the narrator, so close that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing. Tantalizing means arousing a desire. ভীষণ মানে প্রবল ইচ্ছা. The perfume, the scent from her hair was tantalizing, or that means the narrator had a strong desire to touch her hair. I wanted to raise my hand, here is the line, and touch her hair, but she moved away. But unfortunately, before touching her hair, the girl moved away. So it was not possible for the narrator. Only the scent of perfume still lingered where she had stood. The girl got down, departed, but the sweet perfume that lingered, that hovered, that was there for a long time. This is very much romantic. There was some confusion in the doorway. Confusion, that means indistinct sound. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Slipped. Stammered means totlano, or to say something in indistinct way, not in clear way. So a man getting into the compartment. So there was another passenger who was getting into the compartment, and he asked an apology. Then the door banged, the door thugged, and the world was shut out again. The world the narrator was living so far during the journey with the girl in a reverie, in a daydream. It was a world of romance. It was a world, unrealistic world. The world that did not exist with the blind people. He tried to do what people do who have got the clear vision. The narrator tried to act in that way. So it was again a world of white world, a dark world, as if the world in a long, vast sea. The narrator did not know how to drift, how to find the shore of reality. But it was not so. The girl departed. He was plunged into the darkness. The romance was gone. He came to the reality of blindness. Then the door banged and the world was shut out again. I returned to my berth. He came to his seat. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off. Once again, I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. The narrator once again was planning to go, to fly into the world of romance, non-existence, unreal, with the next traveler. In the same way, he behaved the game, he played the game with the girl. The train gathered speed. The train departed the station. The wheels took up their song. The carriage groaned. Groaned means a harsh voice. The mechanical sound of the wheels and engines, and shook Northern carriage. I found the window and sat in front of it. The narrator felt the window and sat in front of the window, behaving in a way that he could see in order to start a new game, staring into the daylight. That was darkness for me. The reality is that, though it was light outside, full of light, the light flooded everywhere, and it was visible for us, everybody, for every passenger except the blind, the narrator. There was daylight, but the contrast is that it was dark. dark for the narrator as he was blind. So many things were happening outside the window. He could feel that there was happening, there was incidents, the daily incidents happening outside the window. He could feel. But it could be a fascinating game, guessing what went on out there. It was a game for the blind people to gaze the unreal. The real became unreal. The unreal became real. That is the irony. That is the irony here. He wanted to play the game. He wanted to gaze, to conceive the light, to conceive in the darkness, to conceive the light in the darkness within him, the darkness in his eyes. He wanted to conceive. The man who had entered the compartment broke into my reverie. The passenger entered and he broke into his reverie. Reverie means daydream. You must be disappointed, he said. Not pleased, disappointed. I am not really as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left. The traveler, the passenger, told the narrator that he was not so charming, so beautiful as a companion compared to the girl who had just left, who had just dropped the previous station, wherefrom the passenger got up. She was an interesting girl, I said. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short? The narrator wanted to make his gaze a confirmed one from the passenger, and wanted to know whether the girl had long or short hair. So naturally his blindness was discovered, or he disclosed his blindness to the passenger. So the next game was gone, that he wanted to play with the passenger. But he was involved, he was so influenced with the flow or the overflow of the inner romance that he wanted, at the cost of his blindness, from the passenger, to make himself assured that how her hair was. The passenger replied, I don't remember, he said, sounding puzzled. The other passenger replied that he could not notice, or he did not notice her hair. And he was puzzled because at the sudden such question, why the passenger in front of him was asking such a question. The passenger could not discover that the narrator was blind. He was puzzled, but he was not sure. Rather, he replied, he assured the narrator, it was her eyes I noticed. He did not notice her hair. What he noticed was her eyes, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes. So, her eyes was very much beautiful. But they were of no use to her. The passenger could notice that the girl could not see. The girl was blind. So, though the eyes were very much beautiful to look at physically, but there was no sight. So the eyes were of no use. But it was an irony that the passenger could not notice that the narrator was blind himself. So those who have got the right vision gifted by the God sometimes fail to register what is in front of them. That is the significance of such comment in the previous class I quoted from the text. Those who have got the clear eyesight sometimes fail to register the important things before us. But the blind people, those who are blind, they can register the important things. By what? By the other four senses. By their other four senses, they could perceive the beautiful things, the sceneries, the pretty things, the romance in our life. They never fail to do so. Even in the short journey, they try to deceive themselves. They try to go beyond themselves and try to enjoy in the world, but that what is not. We pine for what is not. আমরা কি চেষ্টা করি? আমরা পাইন করি, আমরা চেষ্টা করি, আমরা আকাঙ্ক্ষা করি, we cherish of what is not. আমরা চেষ্টাই করি না কখন যে 16 আনার মধ্যে আধুলিটা কখন পড়ে গেছে। 16 আনা নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করি। We try to capture the whole but fail where the half of the penny has dropped. That is the irony. She was completely blind. Did not you notice? Did not you notice? This line is the confirmation that the passenger could not discover the blindness of the narrator. He could only notice that the girl was blind. So, the conclusion is that the irony that the narrator was trying to play a game, was trying to go beyond the world of the blindness. He was trying to behave like a full-sighted people, full-sighted person, but the end with whom he was playing the game, with whom he was going beyond the world of non-existence, in the world of existence, he was befooled. He was befooled that the girl was blind. He was also blind. So that is the irony. And here is the pathos. The Ruskin bond has served in a plate before the world of the blindness, of the world of the blind people. That is the pathos, that is the irony, and we must have to do to enjoy or to show our assistance to those blind people. At least if they once can go out of their blindness, can live in a world of the vision. তোমরা তো গান শুনেছো একটা, দুর্বল মানুষ যদি বলো কি তোমার ক্ষতি, যদি দুর্বল মানুষ আমাকে সাথ দিয়ে পার হতে পারে। If the weak people, those who are physically challenged, can drift, I can help at the struggle of their life. If they can drift with us to find the shore, to find the land if they can set their foot in the world. And we need to glorify our Indo-Arabs. We need to assist them to wipe out the darkness. If you ever go to a vast sea, you will find a mist, intangible darkness, a white darkness rather I would say, a white darkness. The darkness is there, but it is white. Darkness is not black, it's a white darkness, the misty darkness. That is the world of the blind people. The irony is that. And Ruskin Bond, a beautiful storyteller, has served. He has promised to explore into the world of the blindness, into the world of the blind people, and serve it to us who have got the eyes, and we can realize, we can perceive, we can feel how they feel. And that is the pathos, and served well before us. Test it. Have a nice day. If you have any question, you can ask me as usual. Bye bye.